up Larsson here. Larsson, oh, he's in! Henrik Larsson! That is sensational! O'Reilly, how about that for a pass? Jota! How about that for a finish? That is Jota for you! In for Henrik Larsson, and Moravcik! His first goal for Celtic! Here is Shunsuke Nakamura! Exquisite!
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Celtic Unrestricted View. Merry Christmas, happy Boxing Day, hope you're all well, hope you're not too hungover and you've enjoyed your family festive period. And well, with Shaun, my name is Ryan. Well mate, how are you Shaun? It's been a long time, well say a long time, it feels like a long time. Maybe since you've been on mate, obviously things happen in life, we need to obviously do other things in life mate, but how are you? Hope your Christmas is well. And looking forward to get back on the action tomorrow, mate, against Livingston.
Hi, good evening everybody tuning in. Hope you've had a good Christmas and like Ryan says, hopefully not too hungover the day. Same to yourself, Ryan. Hope you've had a good Christmas, mate. It's good to be back, mate. Obviously, I've not been on in a wee while in the lead up to Christmas. You know, 2 kids. It's hectic. You know, I've took a hit. So. I'm looking forward to chatting about Celtic again, mate. And you know, I love being on the podcast and seeing everybody tuning in. I've got to say, and obviously there's been a lot going on, a lot of different opinions out there in regards to the new manager and the situation with the squad. So, I'm looking forward to a chat with you tonight, mate, and digging deep into it and seeing what everybody's there's feeling and thinking.
I think the last few weeks, obviously with the results and stuff, there's been get the manager away, keep him, see how he gets on. System's not working, players aren't playing well. There's been loads of opinions, Shaun. So obviously for the last few weeks, the results, which you're thinking of the manager. Do you like the style he's playing? Is it the players? Is it the manager? Is it everything included? What's your thoughts on the situation, Shaun? Because obviously there's been a lot of negativity on the park because of the results, the manager, but now a wee result. Hopefully that catches on now. But what's your thoughts on what's been happening the last few weeks, mate?
Well, obviously there has been a lot happening in the past few weeks. There's just a lot of emotions out there from Celtic fans, heightened a lot of the times. But my opinion and where I've been from day one is I would have liked to have seen Martin Stite at the end of the season. I'd have liked to have seen Nancy get a full pre-season and just full pre-season, his own players. But I feel like the time that he came in, it was always going to be difficult and amongst the run of games that we had, given this guy's style and the way he wants to play the game, which is an attractive style, and it's different. It's very attack minded, and I think he will bring a style of play to Celtic that's going to be exciting to watch. My main concern is just his choice of players and the positions. I don't know if that's down to the lack of quality that we've got and he's just trying to find something that works. But a lot of the time going into games, I've been absolutely perplexed by his decision making at time. I thought in the cup final, his starting team was just all wrong. I've thought for a couple of weeks now that one of the one of the players that it's actually looks like they've improved and took on the style Nancy wants to play has been Yang. I thought Yang's been in most games he's been really, really good. And he's really adapted to the role that's been asked of him. And it was just totally and utterly baffling to me that when we got to the cup final, he drops him. I don't even think Yang got on that day. I don't think he got on at all. And he played every game up to that and played well. And then he chooses to play Tanecki and Ralston, who've never played together. Tanecki's never played on the right side for Celtic. And he chooses in that game to play them both down the same side, Ralston right centre back. There's just loads of stuff he's done for me that's made it very difficult for me to get on board with him. I'm still not fully on board with Nancy. But in saying that, in his defence, we have been extremely, extremely unlucky in the games that we have dropped points. We've powdered the goal line chance after chance. So I don't think the issue with Nancy's team is going to be Celtic creating chances and getting chances. I think it's going to be how do we look at the back? And for me, we look very exposed at the back.
Yeah, the cup final, I don't know if you were there yourself, Shaun, but I was there myself, and I was like you, I was kind of baffled with some of the decisions he made. I was baffled with some of the decisions he made against Roma and against Hearts. Take away the system and the way that he's picking players. Ultimately, if the players don't finish chances, then you're not going to win games. I know that's pure common knowledge, right? But if you're not going to score and defend, whatever you do either way, you're not going to win football games. So you need to have a balance. You need to be decent defensively. You need to take your chances. And ultimately, in parts of the games, we've not been good at either side of the park, which ultimately means you don't win the games. So United, we were good the first half. Second half, in 3 minutes, we collapsed. Hearts, silly errors defensively, couldn't finish. Again, we lost the game. Roma, for me, Roma was powder puff. I don't really want to blame the manager too much on that, even though his team selection was a wee bit perplexing. But on the Roma game, for me, the players were just not good enough, and I was really annoyed with the performance of the players against that Roma team, who they were decent. Let's be fair, Roma are a very good team, but it wasn't like the boy Ferguson. There's a lot of doubts about him, and you would think he was an absolute top striker the way that he bullied Celtic. And I think for me, Shaun, we're very, very powder puff in certain areas, and I do believe January, which we'll touch on tonight's pod, it's a key areas I think we do need to sign, especially a bit of strength and depth and more physicality, because I think we've got nice technical players, like you mentioned, Yang, etc. But I think we're missing, I don't want to keep going back to like the old players, but your Yama types, your Brown types, I don't think we've got any of that anywhere really, because obviously Vickers is injured, so is Alistair Johnson. You're missing a lot of physicality, but I agree with you in the cup final. I think it's still a wee bit of a lingering annoyance that we lost that game the way we did, because we started off pretty decent and then again we just fell apart. But there's a few players for me, Shaun, I don't know if you think maybe next year they need to potentially move on, or maybe their last time at Celtic, but one thing for me is popping up quite a lot, and I don't know why he's continuing to play. For me, he's a goalkeeper, Kasper Schmeichel. I did say in the summer, can we rely on him again and again this year with his injury, his age? Do we need to start putting in Sinisalo and manage Kasper? Similar, maybe we couldn't do it with Scott Brown because of the COVID season. We had to play our best players. I think we potentially maybe need to start doing it with Callum as well. No playing him every game and playing him when you can, or playing him for 60 minutes to manage him. Maybe Kasper's not been managed enough, and that's why he's maybe not playing as well, because I think he's making big mistakes now, Shaun, every single game. It's every game. It's his kick-outs, his throws. But then he is making a wonder save, but he's then making another mistake. Because I keep going back to the game at Ibrox, Shaun. The one that John Shooter was offside. If he's no offside, it's a goal. And you're blaming Kasper. And the way you were playing at the time, Shaun, I don't think we'd have come back and won that game. So I don't know what you think about Kasper, mate, and any other players. It's alarm bells for maybe going forward into next year. But I think potentially it's either play Sinisalo soon. If you don't want to play him, get another goalie on board, because I don't know if Kasper is going to be your main man going forward, mate, especially with his age and the mistakes he's making.
It's a very good point you make, Ryan. It's I'm not overly concerned about the Casper situation purely because I've seen enough of Sinisalo to actually like him. I think I like what he's got to offer, and he's really calm with the ball, and he's actually quite vocal as well. It's almost just having it's almost just like having a Casper Schmeichel, but a lot younger. But Casper obviously still does bring a lot, and he brings a lot of experience to the team. And he's an older player. One of the senior members of the team, and I think obviously a big character and all. But it sounds it in the dressing room. You hear people speaking about him, and I don't know. He's maybe it is just time. Maybe next season to phase him out. I think he's only signed a 1-year contract. Is that right?
I think it's a 1-year extension.
I think it's a 1-year extension on it. So does that run out in the summer?
I think so.
I think as well. So if that is the case, and it does just need to be phased out, then I've got no concerns with, because I quite, as I said, I quite like the look of Sinisalo, and he does look like he just would fit into that mould. It's different from, like, in the past when we had, like, obviously Joe Hart, and next in line to him was Scott Bain, and Scott Bain just was never going to cut it at Celtic. But the same kind of thing happened with Joe Hart, towards the end of his. And I think that's when he called it. He called, because a lot of fans had thought he could have signed on for another season, and were actually, I remember like a lot of pundits were even saying to him, like, Joe, like, if you feel like you're in good shape, and why not go again for another season? But I think maybe when you're in a goalkeeper, when your sharpness and your awareness isn't just quite there like it used to be. Joe Hart never used to come off his line in his last season. He would just never come off his line. So maybe it's time for Casper to get phased out. But in the immediate future, we need a striker, Ryan.
We could touch on that now, mate. Fire away. I think that's massive.
God, man, we need a striker, big style. I mean, if Iniacho was fit and available, then I really like the look of Iniacho. Anytime he's played, you can see he's got experience and quality, and he's obviously played at a high level because he's super intelligent. He holds the ball up really well. He does exactly what you want a Celtic striker to do, and it's just so unfortunate he had to come off injured. I think that game he did come off injured. It really, really impacted us. I thought up until that point we were handling the game really well, and we had a good target up front, and he was linking play up. So if we had him fit and available and he was playing every game, then I'd still be wanting a striker. But now it's desperate stuff. Like Johnny Kenny for me just is not going to cut it at Celtic. I've seen enough of him now to, you can't get away with missing the chances he's missing, and no be absolutely vindicated by, like, lambasted by the Celtic fans. What Kevin Lees is saying there, Kyogo back, I've my opinions about that. Why the hell not? I know, like, JP and Daniel spoke about it the other night there on the podcast. I think one of the listeners had put in a comment asking, and they were kind of split on it, JP and Daniel. So I would have Kyogo back in a heartbeat. Like, for what you're going to get, what you're going to pay from, he's not playing for them, and you know what you're going to get. Even like a 70% Kyogo is better than what we've got in the door now. And I would much rather Kyogo up front than Johnny Kenny. I'm sorry, but he's just he's missing too much, Ryan. He's going to end up just being absolutely hated by the Celtic fans.
For me, wee comment here. Yeah, John, fire away. John, if you want to ask me and Shaun a question, or if there's anything you want to debate about, mate, fire away, and me and Shaun will discuss it with yourself and the viewers. John, no problem, mate. I think the strikers, it's again, for me, Shaun, I think you live and die by your strikers. I think if you've got a top goal scorer up front, then you definitely more enhance your winning mentality, definitely, because we've not been tested too much. I think we've just made silly errors against Hearts defensively. The errors can be ironed out, but what can be ironed out is guys who are at this level missing chances like that. Now that should be when you're younger and you go up through the years and through the ranks, that you're finishing. A guy at like maybe Maeda's age, or even Johnny Kenny's no dead young, he's not like he's 17, 18. They should be practicing that every day. And if they're not at a level they know, for me, especially Johnny Kenny, Shaun, I don't think he's going to ever get to the level. I don't think he's anywhere near good enough to even on a Celtic bench. There's some guys that will never be on Celtic's bench, but it's because of where we are. And I think it's maybe we need to try and accept where we are, but I find it hard to accept because I think the standards should be raised higher, but where we are, we kind of need to accept it. But the striking situation, again, I've seen as well, Kyogo linked. I'm maybe different for you, mate. I understand if he did come, listen, he's probably the best striker at the football club still. But I think if his name wasn't Kyogo Furuhashi and you've seen his stats, I don't think you would touch him ever since he's left here. So I'm probably going to say I wouldn't re-sign him, if I'm being honest. But if it came to you need to get him because of nobody else saying I'll take him. But I think I'd rather kind of branch out to somewhere a bit more different. I've seen the boy Rossi's been linked to us. Apparently there's moves. I don't know how true it is, but there's been agents linking him with us, Shaun. Again, I don't know much about the guy. I just think he's 16 or 17 goals for Columbus Crew this year, run about. So again, I don't know how good he is. I don't watch MLS, so I can't comment. But I'd imagine, Shaun, that Nancy will probably sign one or two, or there'll be a lot of links to a few players that he's obviously management.
I know, I understand totally where you're coming from, Ryan, in regards to Kyogo. We're talking about like players that need to be moved on, and I understand that a lot of fans don't want to be going back. It's certainly like you're probably thinking maybe Hatate said his last season at Celtic. He's you're maybe probably looking at moving him on. And there is probably some other players that fall into that category, but for me, when it comes to Kyogo, I just think like just exactly what JP's saying there. He's better than what we've got now, and you could always rely on Kyogo in big games. But anyway, I'm totally on board with anybody as well that says like, no, let's go and get somebody new and see what. It'd be interesting to see who Nancy does go for. It'd be interesting to see what his signings, because the signings that he's going to bring in are going to have to fit his system. It's a very, very niche system that he's playing. Not many teams are playing it. So the people that he's going to go for, they're really going to have to come in and slot right into his system. They can't be getting guys in and learn them how to play this system. They're going to need to know straight up, because we need players that are going to come into this team and make us better straight away. We can't be doing this fucking, get players in and, hopefully coach them in 6 months' time to be the player that we want them to be. January needs to be a big January for us. I know Januaries are hard windows to do your business in, but if we want to compete in the second half of the season and push on to win the league, which is ultimately where everyone's collective goal here for Celtic, we need to get people in January, Ryan, that are going to come straight in. I don't know this Rossi guy. Who does he play for?
Columbus Crew.
And what's his style of play? Is he a target man? Is he in the box?
I think he played under Nancy, mate. So
you know much?
No, really, mate. I'm being honest, Shaun. I'm not going to sit and say I do, mate, because I really don't. I just know that he's done really well for Columbus Crew and he's highly rated and over there. So I'm not sure, mate. I just know that potentially he's maybe one of the guys that might be linked through Nancy.
Well, it'll be if he's over there playing, and he's obviously been successful under Nancy, then that's a good omen, considering that he's played in his system, he knows what's expected of him. So I'm well on board for Nancy bringing in guys that have played under him. That's a good starting point for us, I guess, because like I said, you're getting guys in that know him, played under him, know his system, know his demands. So that would be a good start for us, and I would be definitely on board with that. But we'll just need to see what happens, Ryan. But looking forward to seeing what he does bring in. Hopefully we do get, bare minimum 2 players in at January. We need to get at least 2. We need to get some reinforcement up top, and ideally 3. You're wanting a bit more. We probably need about 3 players in January, but if we get 2, given that it is a hard window to do your business, then I'd be happy with that.
I do think we need a few, mate, especially defensively and on the forward areas. Obviously, Tanecki's no done well yet properly. He's obviously away to the AFCON as well. So is Balawisha. He's not cutting mustard just yet. So I probably say a right winger is probably a priority as well. So maybe there you go.
Probably need about 4 players.
Probably, mate, just in January. I know.
I've seen 4 players coming in January. Maybe there has been. I can't remember.
It wouldn't surprise me as well, mate. I'm no big on loan players, but see if a loan player is a top loan player. I know I'm going back here, right? But see like a Robbie Keane, see that type of loan signing. I'm all on board with that. See if it's for 6 months to make sure you win the league. So I don't know a player that you. That's not going to happen.
Somebody said on this podcast a while ago, I don't know if it was a member or yourself, but somebody mentioned Oxlade Chamberlain. Do you remember that?
It was me. It says that I asked Barry Bannon, and it was Barry Bannon and JP, and I put in the questions. Oxlade Chamberlain was a free agent. Why no? He's experienced. He's experienced. He's fit by all accounts. I watched a podcast a few weeks ago, and he's offers for the Premier League. He's just not found it a right move, and I'm like, well, we think he's not too old. He's still got miles to go. I was like, for me, it's an absolute no-brainer. I'd like to think he would come to Celtic, try and get his career back on track, but again, it's maybe a pint in the sky dream. It's maybe, do you want to sign somebody who's not had a club for a few months? I don't know, Shaun, but the big question here. I
don't think that's a bad shout, Ryan. I mean, I think with these guys, right, they obviously, they've been at big clubs, they've experienced what it is to play at a high level, but a lot of them, I mean, even if they're coming to the end of their career, a lot of them, coming to Celtic at any point in your career is going to be a massive, massive challenge for you. So if you're a guy that's been on the wings for you're on the sideline for a year or two, nobody's really, and you come to a club like Celtic, it's just going to bring back that all the feelings and all that sort of like excitement, a new goal, to bring your game up. It happened with Joe Hart. Joe Hart was obviously, he'd had his career down south. He wasn't really, doing anything. He'd had offers, and then Celtic came along, and Joe Hart's a Celtic fan for the rest of his life now. He absolutely loves.
He's 32 now, Chamberlain.
Well, listen, like I said, mate, you bring somebody like that to a club with your fan base, with your demands, with the success that we bring. Who knows because these guys, no matter to get to that level, you really need to have a lot about you. And these guys, if they find something or a club or a culture that sparks that drive in them again and that ambition, as I say, you've seen it with Joe Hart. I thought Joe Hart was outstanding for Celtic. I know he had his critiques and he had his mistakes, but he absolutely loved the club. He got really involved with the fans. Fans loved him. He had his own song. And you see him now, anytime he gets a chance to talk about Celtic or represent Celtic, he does it, and he does it really well. So I think it's a good shout, Ryan. Sorry, you can go to the comment you were going to bring up.
No, that's all right. Give me a wee donation there from me, Mitch. Merry Christmas, Mitch. Thanks a lot. Much appreciated. Thanks for support to the channel. It's very welcome. Thank you, mate. John asked a wee question. I'll put this to yourself first, Shaun. Question for the panel: do we need to recruit a right-sided centre back? I think I heard John previously say could use Ralston, but I'm afraid I don't think the lad's up to it. I'm not sure if he said that exactly, John, but in terms of that question, Shaun, do you think we need a right-sided centre back?
Well, if JP's been saying that, then I want, but he's smoking. But no, honestly,
no, he says he says with it an idea to play Nick in the 9 role. Right, okie doke. There we go. So he's not on anything.
No, his sanity's intact. We can agree on
he's
that.
All right, aye.
Right. Well, I don't know what other John's smoking, but maybe you'll need to revisit that. Check where his sources came from on that one. But I know Ralston for me, right centre back. God, Ryan, I said way at the start of the summer when I was on this podcast that I would have loved to have seen Celtic recruit a right back, because I didn't think Ralston is somebody to come in and he's ran his course for me at Celtic. I love his endeavour. I love that he's committed to the club. He loves Celtic. He's a family man. You see him at the end. At the end of the season and stuff, when we play our last league game, he's on the pitch with his wee daughter and all that, and he seems like a really cracking guy, to be fair to him, and he always gives his best when he plays for Celtic, but he's just no the Celtic level, mate, even for somebody that's a replacement in the sidelines for me. He's just not got the quality that we need, Ryan. I remember, I don't know if it was the game against Rangers at Ibrox. I think it was Alistair Johnston was injured and the Ralston was playing right back. And Callum McGregor takes the ball up in the centre midfield and he plays a pass out to the right-hand side, thinking that obviously that where AJ is going to be up at the halfway line, and the pass just goes straight out because Ralston's about 10-15 yards behind it. He's just not got that forward momentum that we require at a Celtic club that wants to play attacking football. Certainly, John. Ralston right centre back. We need a right centre back. We need to sign. If we've not got somebody in the new that can play that position, which I don't believe we have, maybe a push. You could maybe try and bleed Dane Murray into the squad. Eventually,
I'm away. I'm gone.
I'm only saying that because
I know.
He plays with his right foot. There is a lot about Dane Murray I like, but maybe just the news know his time. But definitely Ralston. Yeah, we need to get a right centre back.
Aye, I think you're right, mate. Again, listen, he's done a lot better than me and Adam when I played football, so I'm not going to... I try my best not to criticise too much, Shaun, but see when you see them every week and they're making the same mistakes and you're like, these guys are getting watched every day in training and they're continually getting played. I know we're down to the bare bones, but for me, it's a detriment to the team. For me, again... if he wasn't through the academy stuff, mate, he probably wouldn't be here. I know he's done really well considering where they came from, but there's a few guys in the team. I know, like you mentioned, Yang has done well recently, but guys like Yang, Scales, Johnny Kenny, Ralston, they were all potentially going out the door, and now we're need to count on them. And like you've said about us trying to push forward, we do need better than that. And apart from Donovan right now, who's looked all right. I mean, just all right, because he's not really played a lot of football, but we've not really got even any young guys coming through at the moment either. Again, we don't see the youth players a lot, so we can't comment too much. But in terms of the right centre back, I agree with John and yourself that we do need to recruit. For me, I think you need to buy 2 centre backs personally, not just in January, but even in the summer. Maybe one in January and two in the summer, because Carter Vickers, his injury issues, I don't think anybody will buy him at the moment, so I think you've got him next year, unless he decides that he's not want to be here. But in terms of his injury issues, can rely on him for a full season again. Trust he's all right. He's done all right this year. For me, Liam Scales is never good enough. Dave Murray just ain't good enough. You've basically nobody else. You've sent Nerofsky out on loan. Lagerberger's out on loan. They two will be here next year probably. So defensively, mate, I think we've got a lot to go there. But definitely in January, if we can get that, because I think the way that we're talking about the team selection, Shaun, right? Even though we won the game with Aberdeen, he's playing with one centre back at the back and a back three. For me, that just doesn't work. We're going to, again, I know we won the game, right? I'm not wanting to be negative, right? I don't want to be negative. We won the game 3-1, missed a lot of chances, but one ball at the tap again and we're beat. So I think a better team, I'm not saying it's Rangers or Hearts, but if you go to even Utrecht or even away to Bologna, I personally think you're going to get absolutely wide open with a back three like that, unless you're getting three proper. I don't want to keep getting back to Martin O'Neill's team, but see if you're getting 3-man mountains or 3 guys who can actually play and they're actually quick. I know it might cost money and I get it, but it's not up to me and you to find that. That's why these guys get paid the big bucks to find their players and find the market niche and everything else. But it shows you as well, mate, that we've let Lagerbielke go, who any time I've seen him for Braga this year strolled it, especially in the 2 European games against us and them across the water. Nerofsky started to play all right, apparently, for Hanover, for what I've read for reports. Again, it's just reports. We've let the 2 boys go and we're sitting here like, who do we play now? Because we're really lacking. And I'm not saying they're the messiahs, but it'd have been nice to have Rame here than not have him here. But it just shows you how Rodgers, the way he thought, the recruitment team thought. There was obviously a bit of to and fro between whatever it is. But I think defensively, mate, we're definitely lacking the numbers, especially through injury.
No, you're bang on the money, mate, about the centre backs and obviously what we need, and that goes back to what I was saying about this system that Nancy wants to play. It's a very niche system that no many teams are playing, and you need the right players to play it, and that's where it came back to me when Nancy was appointed. At the time he was appointed, I think at the time. I think it was the wrong move for the board. I still stand by that. I hope I'm proven wrong, because if I'm proven wrong, then off the back of that, Celtic are successful. So I'm very happy to be proven wrong and my initial reservations about Nancy. But I think that given what we have at our disposal, I think the decision to bring Nancy in was a real. It was a real misjudgment for the board. I thought the board should have held off on that until the summer, until we could give that guy a full pre-season to implement his style, get his players in, and really give him a good crack at the whip. So I feel like if Nancy, if he does go on to fail at Celtic, which I really hope he doesn't, then a lot of the blame for me would probably lie on the board. And I've been very supportive of the board, because I think what they've done for us over the years, you just can't rule that out over like one season where they've made a mistake and not got things quite right. So I don't think that gives you right to just cancel out the success they've brought to us. We're just, Celtic fans were so used to winning to the point where now that we don't, it's you're throwing your arms up in the air. And so I think it'll be interesting to see this week, Ryan. I think he's had a full week with that team, which on the training field, but I'm like you. The biggest concern for me is the back line, the gaps, it's at times I'm just like watching through my fingers, like it's you can just see it all, and a better team, like you said, will expose that. I thought that's what Dundee United done in the second half of that game. They exposed their weakness, and Nancy, he's so set in how he wants to play that looks like he's not able to make the the formation adjustments, because he believes in this system, he believes in this style of play. I do admire that and I like that, but at the same time, it also needs to work. It needs to bring us success on the pitch. So we'll see, because Livingston will make it really physical. They'll play direct high balls, and we'll see how this team copes with that on Saturday.
It's obviously going to be a tough game, the game against Livingston. Obviously, the park isn't ideal, but obviously these players have played on it, so they'll obviously understand that. But I think it is it might be a wee bit of a shock for him, turning up to Livingston, obviously, the way they play and the way that he's wanting to play. It might be like, oh, right, this is different. But I'd imagine now, Shaun, that he's been here a few weeks now. He's played against a few of the teams. He's probably been told that they all know how Livingston is going to play. It'll feel like a home game because we'll have most of the crowd. Realistically, on budgets and everything else, and on the players, it should be an absolute mismatch against Livingston. It should be. Celtic should be going to Livingston home and away and winning with a few goals. But we all know football is not played on paper. It's not played on budgets. It's played on tactics, how you win, how you defend, how you score goals, and ultimately it isn't that. But what are you thinking about the way that is he going to set up the same? Probably, I'd imagine, Shaun. Do you think do you think my head will be up front? Is there anything in your mind that you think? Do you think that the way that he's going to set up? Do you think there's going to be any changes? Will he play Ralston at the back or the full back, or which you're thinking in terms of? Do you think we need to make changes, or do you think, as much as we might not be settling some of the players, the fact you've won a game, maybe continue with that team and try and build on momentum, or do you change it and just play the best that maybe suits this game?
I'd be absolutely bamboozled if he changes it. He needs to find some sort of...
He done it 4 games in a row, mate, so...
I know, and that's what's making me struggle to get on board with him. Like, it's as a Celtic fan, right, and I said this to my brother Barry, I says, I cannot pick what Celtic team is going to start week by week. And I feel like, time's gone past, Rodgers, Ange, you could pretty much pick. We do it on the podcast, we pick my starting team. You could do that with relative ease, maybe one player, maybe tweaked here and there. But with Nancy, you just do not know what team is going to be put out on a Saturday, 1 hour before the game. Well, I hope that commenters know. I hope that's not true. I hope that isn't true, but you just never know.
Enjoy, JP. See you later, mate.
See you later, JP. Ralston definitely not right centre back, JP.
That's why JP's a venue, because Ralston's up front.
But no, it'll be interesting. I think he needs to keep the same, and he's not going to change his system, because that would be absolutely crazy. He's trying to get the team now to learn his system in the squad to play this style. So to actually then change it would be crazy. He's made his bed. He needs to line it now. And in terms of team selection, I think you're probably going to have to go unchanged. I mean, as difficult as the game ended up being towards the end, with them getting the goal back and us having to dig deep to get the second goal. We were just so unlucky in that game. We could have scored 3, 4, 5. Keeper had made some great saves. The bar and the post made some good saves. So there was plenty of endeavour in that game, and I think it'll be an unchanged. Well, I say that, but as I say that, I don't know what Nancy will pick. I just can never predict this guy's team line, but I'm hoping it's unchanged. I thought we'd done enough in that game offensively. I like Luke McCowan being in the team. I thought he's been a real breath of fresh air in the team. Very, very creative when he's on the ball. Likes to play the ball forward. I like that about him. and Maeda has been working in the left wing back, role. So, for me, it's an unchanged team. Unfortunately, Johnny Kenny will probably be up front again, and he needs to get a goal, Ryan, at the weekend. If he's a front man, he needs to score. He can't go another game missing the chances that he's missing, or else you just cannot justify playing him. Obviously, he's getting the chances, he's in the positions, but that's not going to wash with Celtic fans. You need to be scoring goals.
Yep, no, spot on, mate. Absolutely spot on. As a striker, it doesn't matter how well you played. Obviously, managers might like different things, but for me, ultimately, obviously, your all-round game has to be decent, but you need to score goals. That's for a number nine in a team. Your basis is to score goals. Obviously, your all-round game has to be good, link-up play, etc. But ultimately, if you're not scoring goals, nobody cares about that wee layoff you done or that wee fuck you done. It's the goal. So he's the goals that he's no scored against United and stuff like that. The sitters were poor, really poor. So I agree with you personally, and the team. Obviously, I'll get your teammate as well. I'll get my team after yours, mate. But I'd like to think I'd maybe play Maeda there. But like you've just said there, Maeda's actually been doing really well on that left hand side. You've seen it against United; it was really good. So. What is your thoughts on? We've got a wee question as well on the panel for the questions and the viewers, but we'll get to that, mate, after your team selection. What you're thinking of tomorrow? If you can stomach about picking certain players.
Like I said, man, it's like, I would probably just go unchanged for against Aberdeen, mate. I would go Schmeichel, Ralston, Trusty, Tierney, and then I'd probably go Yang, Maeda, McGregor, McCowan, Engels, and Johnny Kenny up top. And am I missing somebody out there? No, I think that's it, isn't it? Did he play Hatate for the start of that game? I don't think he did.
Hatate wasn't in the squad.
No, he wasn't even in. He wasn't. I'd probably just go unchanged for the last game, mate. As I said, probably need to just keep some continuity within the squad, the team, and as much as it pains me, I just had to have Ralston right centre back. The only other alternative is you play Trusty, Scales, Tierney, but I think Scales is he's just had too many games, man. I think he's Scales under Nonce has probably been the most inconsistent Liam Scales I've seen since he's returned to Celtic. I think Scales has consistently put in good performances, sometimes great performances, never really terrible performances, but I think under Nonce, I've not really seen Scales put in a great performance. So I don't know if it's fatigue, he's needing a rest because he's played a hell of a lot of games, him and Callum McGregor, but McGregor's done this for seasons with Celtic, season after season. Scales is, he's never injured. I can't ever remember Scales being injured since he's been in this Celtic team. Can't recall it. So he's played near enough every game. So I don't know. The only big change I would make would be move Trusty to right centre back, and then Scales and Tierney, Scales in the centre, or whatever way you want to do it. And Tierney left centre back.
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because do you want to keep momentum or do you upset it and change? Personally, I would go with Sinisalo. I believe Casper should be binned at the moment. I think he deserves to play, but again, momentum. Do you still keep your experience? So again, it's do you unbreak your squad at this point in time, or do you keep momentum? It's one of the ones that you don't really know, mate. That is a hard one. Again, that's why I'm lucky I'm no manager. I don't need to pick a team. I just need to do it virtually. So I'm probably going to go the same as you, mate. I would just keep the same team. As much as I maybe prefer Maeda up front, he's still red off the left. He can still move up front and still be there and make chances and create chances. So I'm hoping that was a turning point against Aberdeen, that we can go now and hopefully get a few goals. And as much as we want to see performances and goals, the most important thing, I would say, Shaun, is winning the game. As much as we want performance levels to be up, I think we just need to win the game.
I agree with you, mate. And when you look at who, runabouters are playing, Hearts have got Hibs away at the first half 12 kicker. So they've got a difficult game. That could go in my favour. You could see Celtic making some points on both Celtic, both Hearts and Rangers more if results go our way, because Rangers play Motherwell at home and Norwich. Isn't it going to be an easy game for them? So if we can just get the Livingston job out of the line, like you said, then results elsewhere might go in my favour. But ideally, if Hearts had a draw and Rangers got beat, that would be fantastic, because Hearts are still going to gain points on them. We're going to gain points on Hearts, and Rangers are going to lose points against both Celtic and Hearts. You ideally want Hearts to still be in it. Celtic get to January, strengthen, push on, and I think Celtic will win the league. If we get January right and Nancy manages to, just get some rhythm going and some level of consistency and get these players playing how he wants to play, I think Celtic will win the league. So therefore, what you're looking at after that is who gets second, and you want as much as possible for that to be Hearts. So. If I could handpick how this weekend will go, it'll be Hearts draw, Celtic win, Rangers lose, everybody's happy.
Ideally, mate, that if the world was in a line, we think.
But you never know.
You never know. It could be the opposite. If we don't get a result tomorrow, fans will be wanting the manager out.
Exactly.
Again, people might comment and say that's crazy talk, but if your manager only wins one out of 6 games, it's no great, and especially when you're trying to. It's hard. I think the people who are for Wilfred Nancy, I'm on the fence with it. I really am. I'm like I'm trying to give him a bit of leeway, because it's not his team. He's not a window yet. He's been thrown in the deep end, but at the same time, he's come into a winning team. Some of these press conferences are mental for me. He didn't have to make the changes that week. Get it done. So I'm wanting to do well, like you've said, mate. No Celtic fan wants any manager to do well, but we can only talk as at present. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Motherwell, Rangers, we don't know. We can only talk before these games, and before the Aberdeen game. If you didn't win that, you're potentially looking at potential the fans saying, "Listen, you need to go now." But again, is it? Well, here's a question to you, then we'll get the question for the viewer, then we'll end the show, mate. Is it the case that if we don't go on a run of games, like 7, 8, 9, whatever it is, in a big run of games, is it the case where we're kind of stopping the inevitable from happening? So we win tomorrow, brilliant. But then you get beat against Motherwell, you draw against Motherwell, maybe draw against Rangers. What do you do? Because you're losing and losing and losing. Mm-hmm. You need to gain and gain and gain, hopefully being top. So what's your thoughts on that? Do you think he's damned if he doesn't, if he wins? Is it delaying the inevitable? Because you might go 7 games in a row winning, but then you might lose 3, and then you're going, right, he's got to go now. What's your thoughts on that?
Exactly, mate, exactly. So it's just like Russell Martin, the Rangers. I hate to use it as an example because obviously his time at Rangers was abysmal. But it's like that. Russell Martin ended up being on a game-by-game basis with the Rangers fans. He had to win. It was game by game. So that's where... See
you later, Kev.
See you later, Kev. Good to have you on, mate. That's where we are. We don't say the notes. He is on a game-by-game basis. I've been very open with JP, with my brother, that I'm not on board with Nancy just yet. I'm not on board with it, and it's just purely down to the decisions he's made with the squad and the players. Playing players out of position. I just, you feel like it's glaringly obvious right in front of you what he should do, and he's doing the opposite. And I've just not been able to get on board with him, Ryan. But we'll see. We will see. He needs to win tomorrow. That's a given, and then we'll take it from there. And it's all about what we see tomorrow as well for me, because when we had Ange in and we weren't winning, I could still see what Ange was trying to do. We just weren't getting the luck of the draw with Ange. Things weren't falling for us. But when it started to, the football was undeniable, and you could see it. I remember watching Celtic and Hibs at home, and I can't remember if we got beat or we drew that game, but we didn't win it. I know that much. And the media attacked Ange after it and all that, and he dealt with him as Ange did. He was fantastic with the media. But I remember watching that game and messaging one of my pals and saying, "This is some of the best football I've ever seen Celtic play since Martin O'Neill's time." I thought the football was so fast, so direct. So I'll be interested to see, one, we need the result tomorrow. We need to win. But two, how are we going to win? I know, like you said, the main thing is we get the win. So if it's a case of we just get the win tomorrow, no matter what, then I'll be happy with that. But ultimately, what I'm looking to see is a wee bit of progression from the last game. I want to see, maybe he's been more clinical in front of goal, more assured at the back. And he's had a full week with the team. No distractions, purely on the training field. And he's had enough games now to know what squad he wants, what players he wants to play, and who can play in what position. So tomorrow's massive for me in terms of what I'm going to feel about Nonsi going forward, because I want to see improvement tomorrow, mate.
No, I'm the same. I think even if you win the game, right, which we're happy about, you're thinking, if a performance isn't great, you're thinking, right, when's the performance going to start to come? Because that will be his, seventh game? But you beat the first four, Aberdeen, I should be sixth game. If it's no change in their 6 games, how long? Because like you said with Ange, as much as you lost 3 out of 6, bear in mind they had an unbelievable rebuild to do. And in the space of 3 or 4 weeks, it was an unbelievable rebuild. Nancy's come into a team, as much as we're not playing unbelievable vintage Celtic, he came in and won. O'Neill came in with 7 or 8 games. The only game we lost was a European game. And then that's what I'm saying with the red flags with his pressers, Shaun. He's come in and talking about belief. But the belief was there. We won 7 or 8. So I'm like you. I'm trying to be so positive, but there's things that are glaringly like, this isn't sounding good to me. But I'm like you. I'm hoping 6 months, a year time, 2 years time, we've won doubles, treble, whatever. We've done amazingly, and I've got egg in my face because Celtic have won, and I'm happy. But we can only go on what we see on the park and what we see for pressers, and it's no aligning just yet. But it could all cut tomorrow, mate. Just say tomorrow win 4-5, not the football's a mate. All right, okay, right. Let's go to Motherwell. Let's play it again. Celtic Park, Rangers. Oh, here we go. I'm personally seeing them as it stands. I'm trying to sit the fence as much as I can right on this. But I see the new, in terms of potentially keeping his job past January, I can't even believe we're even talking about this now, but I believe these 3 next games, Shaun, are unbelievably massive for, I don't want to say make or break our season, but it's going to either increase your chances of potentially doing well in the next few months, or it could decrease, because if we don't win at Livingston, you don't go away to Motherwell and win, and you've got potentially a 6-pointer against Rangers at Celtic Park. And I know it's not a 6-pointer, but anybody who knows football knows what I'm talking about. That's people, by the way, you can't wash it. I know Rangers are 12 points behind, right? So I don't want to say that same done, but potentially as it stands now, but results could go their way. They could beat Motherwell, we could draw against Motherwell. And listen, we were 9 points ahead of behind Hearts. We got it back to nearly 0, and we're back. So within 2 or 3 games, football can change. Ultimately, for me, mate, if we don't get 9 points out of these next 3 games, it's just no good. I think we need to have a 3. Potentially, if you draw at Celtic Park against Rangers and you win the 2 games, right, you can maybe take it as a derby game. But I know we beat them twice in the semi and the cup final, Shaun, but we've not beat, in my opinion, one of the poorest Rangers teams in the last few years. Over the last Claremont mark, we have no beat them 90 minutes, and for me, that's a bit of concern. I get the semi-final and the cup final win, you beat them, brilliant, but I want us to go and smash for 90 minutes, go and actually show that we're the dominant team now. Because for me, mate, you might think different. I know, then we'll touch on the commenter question there. I'm starting to feel we're starting to become a wee bit of a side of losers. We've lost 2 cup finals. We've beat half the Hearts. We've not won. I know we beat the semi-final, won the semi-final, I get that, but take away that, the last big game we won was like February, March or so. We're starting to turn up and go, right, I don't want to say that you turn up and expect to win, but the feel-good factor is, right, is it 3 a day? Is it 4? Is it who's going to get a hat-trick today? It was a feel-good factor. No, we are saying just win the game. So what's your take on that, mate?
Well, in terms of nonsense, I don't know. When you talk about obviously his interviews and that, right? I just don't. This is what I mean. I'm so not on board with it yet because I just don't know where it's going to end. Like, where I don't know what it's going to be. If that makes sense.
2 wee seconds, Shaun. You can answer this as well. I get what you're saying, Plunge, right? I totally get what you're saying, mate. But as much as these players are only fantastic at the moment and the way they're playing, and the summer window wasn't great, Martin O'Neill got this team to win 7 or 8 games. So it can be done.
One of those games being away in Europe.
Yeah.
The concern for me is, I feel like it's going to go one of 2 ways. He's either Ange, but just he's Nancy disguised as Ange's system and forward system and a new inventive way of playing, or it's going to end like Russell Martin. It's going to end one of 2 ways. But the concern for me is, like you said in these interviews, he said pre-interview in the cup final that it's not about winning trophies. I don't know if you heard that, right? And I'm like, what is this guy? I'm thinking this guy doesn't get it. This is like watching. Is it all like? As I keep saying, it's like watching Russell Martin speak for Rangers. You were just listening to him and going, what is this guy talking about? He's just waffling absolute shit. Pardon my language, but I'm like, it's not about winning it's not about winning trophies. That's all Celtic is about. It's like winning games, yes, but if you're maybe Celtic's built on our success for winning trophies. That's what this club's about. Yep. That's what we want as fans. We want to win silverware because that you're bringing silverware into the club and you're putting more in front of your nearest and biggest rivals. So when he made that comment, I was like, what is this guy all about? So for me, it's going to end one of 2 ways, like I said, but. It's just it's just a very, very, like, I agree with you. He needs to win. He needs to probably win his next 3 games. I push. He can afford to draw the one against Rangers because it doesn't, in a fan's mind, it's not putting us ahead of them, but it's not putting us back for them. They're not gaining on us. We're not gaining. It's as is. So I think most fans would probably be happy with that. But I'm the same as yourself. I want to see Celtic dominate Rangers over the 90 minutes. I thought Martin's team, how they showed up in the semi-final, is the best we've looked against Rangers in a long time. I thought we were very, very physical, and I actually thought, I know, like the sound bites and all the stuff coming from the pundits and the super scoreboard and all that was how valiant Rangers were, the 10 men, and how they came back. Ryan, that's what Rangers are all about. That's what Rangers do that all the time. See, when they go down to 10 men, it's as if the stress is off us. We can just have a right good go here. Aye, the pressure's off us, the stress is off us. We can have a right good go here. They do it all the time. They go down to 10 men. I remember in that semi-final when they went down to 10, I was messing with my pal at the time. And I says, "Watch this." I says, "They'll play even better now." Because we were absolutely dominating them all over the pitch. They could not get. It was like we had our hand on their throat and we just wanted to let it go. We were just tightening it even more. And then when they got down to 10 men, all of a sudden they were they were pressing high. They were running after every ball because it was all or nothing for them then. And the Rangers seem to be like that when it's all or nothing. When the expectations. No for them to win, and the shackles are off. They have a right good go. So I thought we were outstanding when it was 11v11 in the semi-final against them under Martin O'Neill, and I'd like to see that again under Nonce. But my concerns and reservations is at the back. Rangers like to play the ball. They like to play the ball high, and they like to feed off the second ball. I know Roll's trying to get them to play different, but Rangers will always revert to type. That's a problem as well. That's what Russell Martin struggled with. He wanted them to play.
It's their strength, but it's their downfall.
As they just Russell Martin wanted them to play out for the back. It was all like sort of possession based, and again they would just always revert to type. John Souttar, long ball, feed off the second ball, and if they come to Parkhead and they do that against us, I'm sorry, but it's going to be a long day for us.
Listen, I'm the same as you. I think there's only so many chances you can miss, right? And eventually you'll probably get the goals. Because I think Maeda for me against Rangers will need to play up front. No chance can you play Johnny Kenny in that game.
No, you can't.
You can, but I don't think we should, right? Neighbour near it. Ultimately, that's a big game as well, that Nancy. If you win your next two games and you beat Rangers, the full fan base will, yes, right, that's us. Right? On the Nancy thing, because he'll get back, because ultimately players, when they score against Rangers, even them across the water, Morelos was a decent striker for them, right? But he didn't do it against Celtic, and ultimately, if you do it against Celtic or Rangers, you're going to get lauded with the fans. You're not about to buy a pint again. That's just what comes in playing in Glasgow. So ultimately, I'm with you, mate. I think he's again, it's just our opinions and nobody else. He just does, as us two here. I do believe that he's on a game-to-game basis right now until we're going to run a basis of playing well, scoring goals, winning games, and then ultimately I think ultimately January as well, maybe signings. But big question from you, Nashers, maybe before we end the show. Question to the lads: how many players do we need between the now and January? Well, new Nashers, how long do you have? What's your thoughts on that, Shaun?
Well, obviously, I said I think ideally 3. I wouldn't be surprised if we only get 2 because it's January. But yeah, I think probably in January I'd be over the moon if we got 3 players. I think we probably need more, but I just don't know if you're going to get that in the January window. Over the 2, given that players will probably go, I don't even know if Maeda will stay next season. He obviously was, he was ready to go this season, but we couldn't. Yang was ready to go as well, but we couldn't. So we're going to see players go out. So yeah, probably it's going to be a hefty rebuild for Celtic. You're probably talking about 6 players coming in next. But I don't know if you maybe between the 2 windows about six players, depending on who's gone out. But certainly in January, I think we need a minimum of 3 players. We need a striker. We need a right winger or right wing back, whatever it is, and then we need another centre back in. I mean, that's if we get 3 players in January, I'll be happy. It gives us a chance going forward.
I think minimum. I think the 3 positions are definitely probably 3 that we need 100%. And if that's without anything else, I've not watched the presser yet, but I've seen clips and Aaron did say that he said like it was like, well, it's kind of like we'll try and get players if we need them. If we need them, like, what do you mean if we need, mate? Come on, you can't say things like this. You cannot see. I know what he's saying. He's not going to come out and say we need 10 players. I know what he's saying, right? But he's got to be briefed. Like, there's certain things you can't say to the Scottish media because they'll target you. Oh, what do you mean you don't need any players? What do you mean? It's just common knowledge. You don't say certain things to the media. I don't know if these guys are on the media trained to deal with the Scottish media, because that Big Ange took them down the cleaners. He knew what to do. Clement and Martin absolutely didn't know what to say. Rodgers knew what to say. I know he gave the media headlines, but Rodgers knew what he was doing with certain headlines. He knew Rodgers is very intelligent. So, in terms of, for me, I think I said it the other day with Dan. Was it Aaron I was on me or Jai? I can't remember if I was on me, but I'm honestly thinking between the now and the summer, you're probably talking about 14, 15 plus, in my opinion, because I think the summer's going to be an unbelievable rebuild, mate. Like you've mentioned, Maeda. I'm just thinking, like you say, with the players who might leave. For me, I think Scales might go, right? Ralston might go. Hatate might go. Vickers, injury-wise, don't know. is Johnny Kenny, he going loan? Is Michael, is he going to leave in? So there's so many guys like Bernardo.
Your loan players are going to come back as well.
Aye. So it's guys like Bernardo. Does he want to stay sitting on the bench? Does McKibben? I know he's probably a squad player, but Yang, there's so many variables that I think ultimately, mate, as well, we need to win the league, because if we don't win the league, I think it's probably another top of another conversation, mate. But I believe there's going to be a lot of cutbacks, because if we don't qualify for the Champions League, the money that we have got behind us, that's going to dry up, because you'll need to spend it to rebuild again. You might sell any major assets, which could be your Callum McGregor, or it could be your Diaz and Maeda. Ultimately, I think you could be in a situation, if you don't win the league this year and a Saudi offer does come in, or a top championship team, or a top Premier League team for your Callum McGregor, he's probably gone. Or he might go, no, I need to try and rebuild the team. But guys like McGregor is getting to an age, 32, 33, whatever it is. I think he's 31, but nearly 32, but 33 when that age. He's got to start thinking about his career, right? I've been here for so many years. I've won everything at Celtic. Do I stay and continue the rebuild here and be the catalyst for that? Or, as much as he's probably made so much money here, do you get one more pay off somewhere else, experience somewhere different? I don't know. I'm no Callum, Shaun, but I think as a player, as much as Celtic are brilliant, he's at the stage of his career where he can decide, I can go now because I've been here, maybe more money, somewhere maybe abroad, new experience. I don't know, but last wee bit of the pod, mate, what's your take on that side of it?
Well, another thing you can throw in the mix, it could be a potential concern, and I don't want to add anxiety to already a situation that's full of anxiety, but if Hearts do not let up, if Hearts continue to just steamroll on and get into past it, Hearts have got a great squad. I don't know if you've seen the Hearts' squad.
Well, the forward line's better than ours.
Aye, and the people who've got in reserve, obviously there's a few players in that squad that if they were to get injured or suspended, then it is going to impact them. But when you look at Hearts' squad as a whole, they've got a really healthy squad. And if Hearts don't let up, if they keep going, then you could potentially be looking at Celtic and Rangers fighting out for second place. I mean, that sounds absolutely crazy to say. And I sound crazy saying it, but football's been crazy this past 3 seasons. There's mad things been going on in football. Teams winning stuff that haven't won in years.
Apparently you're a handsome guy, mate. Look, Jota.
I'll take that.
I'd take it. I know, mate. It's handsome, isn't he?
The Scottish Irish version of Jota. Shauna.
There you go then.
But no, mate, it's honest to God, like, as I said, stranger things have happened in football in the past year or so, and you wouldn't have said Celtic would have lost their last two cup finals. If somebody would have said, and against Aberdeen, and maybe if somebody would have said against Rangers, you'd have been looking at, right, fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough. Mm-hmm.
But to say against Aberdeen and St Mirren, you'd have been looking at, no chance. So strange things have been happening in football, and we need to, and the level and consistency for both Celtic and Rangers. I mean, if Celtic would have been on it this season, both Celtic and Hearts would have been well excited Rangers, and they wouldn't have had a sniff. They'd have been having to accept, right, they're going to be third. But the fact that we've been so inconsistent.
Cheers, Bunge. I know I was all right, but all right. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
So, I wasn't thinking as much as 14 players. I was thinking maybe, we keep some of our players and, we recruit in the right areas. You're maybe looking at like 6 players, but maybe then I'm not thinking of all the ones that potentially might leave. You made a good point about Bernardo. Is he going to want to still stay and play another season on the sidelines? And
even Nacho, is he want to stay? I know I'm sure he get an option there, but does he want to stay as well?
I know, Sarachi, is he going to get an offer put for him? Or is he going to go back to his parent club? So there's a lot. It's when you really start thinking about it, Ryan, it does really start to make
scary, isn't it?
Scary, aye. Honest to God, like when you start thinking about it like that, and just we need to get this right with Nancy. We really need to get it right, because like I said, if we don't, you're looking at it could be, between Celtic and Rangers to who's going to get second. But I do think Hearts will drop off. I do. I'm no putting the feelers out there just yet. But I'm just in the crazy world of football that we all love and enjoy. Stranger things have happened, and I bet you a lot of people wouldn't have thought Hearts would have go this far, especially the results they've had, beating Rangers, beating Celtic both home and away. It's good. Pardon again, it's good going.
No, that's all right.
It's
No, it is. Aye. No, you're bang on, mate. Listen, I don't think anybody can really dismiss Hearts properly right now. They're ahead in the table and they've got the momentum. I do think they've got a wee bit of not a fear factor in terms of them. I don't think they fear teams anymore. I don't think they fear coming to Celtic Park. They don't fear going to Ibrox. They don't fear going to Pittodrie. They've no fear Hibs. They'll be confident of beating Hibs. So I think, I think we should have watched him for now. If we do what we need to do, mate, in terms of January, listen, nobody will live ways. If we get January, like you've mentioned, if Nonce gets this right and the board gets it right for his recruitment, now they've backed him. For me, it's not. Again, I don't think it's a good sign that they need to come out and say that he's going to be here. I think that for me, that's not a good sign. Normally, when boardrooms do that, you're in a shaky nail. If they need to come out and say that he's here, we're fine with him after a few games, well, what do you mean? You've employed him for a longer term, so you shouldn't be coming out and saying that. Maybe that's just me, but I think you're right, mate. I think the next few weeks will be key in January and the next performances. Ultimately, we just need to win tomorrow first, and then we go for there. And we'll obviously find out tomorrow where we are and how we stand for the Motherwell game in obviously January. So, but thanks to your views in the comments, guys. Thanks for joining us on Boxing Day. I know it's probably a time for you. Some of you are probably still half drunk for last night and feeding off the turkey and stuff. But thanks for your comments and thanks for tuning in. Shaun, thanks for your time, mate. Beauty back on, and I hope you've enjoyed the chat, mate.
I have, mate, and extra special mention to the viewer who said I look like Jota. That's really boosted my ego and confidence. So I'm going to take that and run with it. But I thank you for everybody that's tuned in, who's listened, and who ultimately make the podcast as enjoyable as it is. Getting to listen to everybody's views, opinions, or feedback, and hopefully tomorrow is a momentum builder for this squad and Nonce, and we see an improved Celtic from the last game. Is it like you said, Ryan? I thought they were really good in that game. Very unlucky. It could have been a 4-5-6-6-0 game. Had things went in our favour. I've not got much concerns with Celtic. I think even though we've had our troubles up top, it's a good sign that even with the lack of forward quality in the front, we're still getting loads of chances under Nonce. That's a good sign. We are going to be a team that creates loads of chances, and when it does click, and when we do get the quality in, we're going to score a lot of goals under this system. It's just whether this team can get shored up at the back. That's my main concern. Hopefully tomorrow's a start to seeing that. As I say, they've had a full week. And I hope everybody enjoys. Hope you have a good new year when it comes. I don't know if I'll be on before then, but if I'm not, everybody have a good new year. Be safe, and let's hope for a win tomorrow.
I think you're right, mate, in terms of the system. The system could score a lot of goals, but ultimately could also concede a lot of goals away, the way we're playing. So it might be the stage it got to Ange where as long as you score 4, concede 3, we're all right. I don't want that to happen because it's going to be heart attack stuff every game. But as long as you win the game, mate. But like you say to the viewers, thanks for your comments. Shaun, have a good new year if I don't speak to you until then on the pod. The rest of the commenters, I'd imagine we will be back on before New Year, but if we aren't, enjoy your New Year, enjoy your Boxing Day, enjoy the football that's on tomorrow and the rest of the festive period. Until then, we'll see you all very soon. Stay safe and hail.
Cheers, Ryan. Thanks for having us on, mate. Take
Larsson and Moravcik! His first goal for Celtic! Here is Shunsuke Nakamura! Exquisite!